Let us offer our consecration to the Lord. Lord, we offer up to you this day, and we ask that we may hear your voice in our lives through our various ways, through the Bible reading, through others encouraging us, through others correcting us, through all forms of ways. And let us be docile to those words so that we may seek to follow you as you call us to follow you. And we ask this through Christ our Lord. Today we are continuing our readings, as we do every single day, but the set of readings that we see this week are focused on the letter of James. And James was the first apostle to be martyred, and so he was number one, and he says this real powerful letter that we see. Now, some Christians do not like the letter of James, and they consider it a straw epistle. In other words, it doesn't hold the same weight as others. And the reason they cite is, and this goes all the way back to the Protestant Reformation, the reason why they cite that is they feel it endorses faith and works to a point where you earn your way to heaven. In order to get to heaven, you have to do good works. Well, we've talked about that many times on this program. We are saved by Jesus' grace, by dying on the cross in his resurrection. But the sign of our living our faith is that we do works. And if we're not doing works, then we don't believe. Now, what does that really mean? Because I know some people are going to hear that and not understand that, and they go, what? So let me explain that a little better. John 14:15 says, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. Right there. So what is the sign that you love Jesus? You keep his commandments. Okay, it's not that you say, I love Jesus, and do whatever you want, even if it's what you shouldn't be doing, then that just shows you don't love Jesus. If you love me, you will keep my commandments. Just like everything that has at home, you have ways of expressing love for your husband or wife. You have ways of expressing that, and one of the ways is fidelity. One of the ways is treating each other with respect, with dignity, with love, all that stuff. If that's not happening, and you are claiming to love your spouse, but you're not being faithful, you're being nasty, even abusive, then there is no love there. Then you're not loving that person, even though you claim you are. Well, that's what that means when he says that faith without works is dead. If you say you believe, but you don't live in a way that proves it just by the way you're living, then that doesn't make any sense. And so that's an important distinction. But that phrase is why a lot of people do not like the letter of James. But today's readings are really powerful, and one of the things he says, this should be written anytime you're doing anything to do with social media. This phrase should be just posted right on a wall near you. Know this, my dear brothers, everyone should be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Whoa. Boy, that would just shut some social media sites down right away, because how do they make their money? They make their money on the people who say, oh yeah, did you hear what he said? I'm going to do that. Now understand that, by the way, not only divides communities, it also has been used as a military tactic to get people to not be slow to wrath, quick to hear and slow to speak and slow to wrath, but to be quick to hear, quick to speak, and quick to wrath. That actually is a military tactic that has been used to divide communities, where they send a spy into the community and say, do you know what he says about you? And it's true tactic. And, oh, really? What's he say about me? Well, he says this. Oh. And then all of a sudden, what do you mean? And that reality, that leading people to get upset and stirring the pot and everything, a military tactic, because how does a small country take over a large country? divides the people, turns the people against each other. And once you turn the people against each other, hey, it's just piece of cake. Because there's a story that I've actually quoted this book before by the Lynn brothers and Sheila, and their sister Sheila. It's called Don't Forgive Too Soon. And they tell the story of that tactic being used in Guatemala by the Guatemalan army. And there was one community that knew that they did that. So what they did is they came together and they brought everything out and they forgave everything of each other, and they knew what everyone had been saying and everything else. And then, of course, the soldier sent in the army sent in their little soldier and said, "Do you know what he says about you?" And he went, "Yeah, I do. And we just discussed it, and we've come to an agreement, and we forgave each other, and everything's fine." And they couldn't do anything. They couldn't conquer that community. So understand, when James is saying those words, he's saying those words for a very spiritual reason, but also a very practical reason. We're going to talk more about that on the other side of the break. We are St. Anthony Overnight from St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts, right here on WEZE 590 AM. And you can also hear us at CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. And do tell other people where you can find us. You can find us at WEZE, WEZEradio.com, by the way, at 3 o'clock in the morning and midnight. That's Eastern Time, and also at CatholicAudiomedia.com. We're going to talk more in just a couple minutes.
I want to call your attention to Catholic TV, which offers great faith-filled, family-friendly programming 24 hours a day. You can find your cable channel at www.getcatholictv.com, and you can watch online on the free apps or check out the YouTube channel. Daily Mass, Rosaries, the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and the Our Lady of Perpetual Help Novena are all available online and on demand. Check out CatholicTV.com.
And don't forget our own website, CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. You can check out our website, check out the archives of the show. Check out our Substack newsletter. You can also you can also send us feedback. That's an important thing if you'd like to do this. Send us feedback. And you can also send us a letter, by the way, and the address is over there. But if you don't know it, it's 43 Holton, Holton Street in Allston, Massachusetts. And if you'd like to donate the show, you can do that as well. There's a tab over there if you'd like to send us. And just that helps the parish, because the parish sponsors this program. It helps St. Anthony Parish. And don't forget, you have a standing invitation to come to our 10 o'clock a.m. Mass on Sunday mornings. So please feel free to do that. So anyway, CatholicAudiomedia.com. So anyway, we're talking about this powerful teaching from James. Know this, dear brothers, everyone should be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. And for the wrath of a man does not accomplish the righteousness of God. You know, there's a great phrase that we have from Romans, and that's Romans 12, which, as you know, I've talked about it before. I consider it the desiderata, the Christian desiderata. If you don't know what desiderata is, look it up on the internet. What is the Desiderata? It's a great poem. It's a wonderful poem. It's got an interesting history behind it, which most of it is not true. They say it was actually written sometime in the 1600s or the 1500s, and turns out it wasn't. It was written in the beginning of the 1900s. But it's a great story. Well, Romans is the Christian Desiderata, and one of the things it says is, bless your persecutors. Do not curse them, but bless them. Let God take care of this. That's the whole thing, because if you do your thing, when you respond, and remember, there are social media companies that make money over you responding exactly the opposite way what James says. If you respond, then you're not fulfilling the righteousness of God. Now, taking this to like a Catholic perspective, and I know there are also Christians who aren't Catholic listening, and into that perspective as well, but, you know, think of some of these online forums where people are saying things, you know, they're reacting right away. Oh, yeah, you say that? Oh, yeah. You know what? That's exactly what you should not be doing. That's one of the reasons why I do use Twitter, just to tweet out the programs. And remember, our Twitter handle is Alston Saint. But just to tell you where to find the programs, I use Twitter. I also maybe send a little biblical message. I never, ever, ever use Twitter as a way to respond. And I get really irritated, as you know, with bishops and priests who do that or send out messages that don't belong on Twitter. They'll send out a Catholic message telling Catholics how they're supposed to live their lives, but they put it on Twitter. Well, Twitter is read by people all over the world. So if you're putting on this message of how you think Catholics should live their morality, as I always say, is that message directed to, and I'm speaking to some bishops here, we won't mention any of those bishops' names, but if you're saying that, right, are you really also intending that message for English-speaking atheists from Singapore? Because they're reading that too. And if you're not intending it for English-speaking atheists from Singapore, then you know what? Don't be putting it on Twitter. Just say on Twitter what you think is important for the people you intended to, but also is not going to be an attack on people who may have no connection to the Catholic faith at all, or may have no connection to our country. So that's an important distinction. So this powerful message and this powerful passage should be the oath that people take prior to getting on any form of social media. Because remember this, don't ever forget this. Just as I said, a large country or a small country conquers a large country by getting people against each other, that whole thing of turning people against each other is a military tactic. But you know what? There are whole platforms that make money off of people turning on each other. That's how they make their money. If you're one of those people who gets really riled up very quick and you're on some of these social media, really, whatever it may be, and you might say, well, we're Catholics. We don't do that. Oh, really? Tell me. No, there are plenty of Catholics do that. I hear those complaints all the time. If you're one of those people, then you're doing exactly the opposite of what St. James tells you to do. Just do not use these social media platforms for any way to express your wrath in the name of God because you're incorrect. Don't forget where you can find us. We're here every single Monday through Friday at midnight and 3 o'clock in the morning on WEZE. And you can also find us at CatholicAudiomedia.com. And please spread the word. Let people know, hey, this is what they said on that program, and you better not be doing what you were doing on Twitter. That's a joke. Well, maybe not. Anyway, have yourself a blessed day, and we will see you tomorrow morning. In Cristo vivimos.